A day in the life of a 1950s milkman. Before the sun fully rose over quiet neighborhoods, before most families had even opened their eyes, one man was already moving through empty streets, glass bottles clinking softly in wooden crates. He was the milkman, and for an entire generation, he was as much a part of the morning as the sunrise itself. His day began in darkness. While the rest of the town slept, he arrived at the dairy before dawn, loading his truck with rows of glass bottles still cold from the night before. Cream on top, milk below, sometimes butter or eggs tucked carefully alongside. Every bottle had to be handled with care. Glass didn't forgive mistakes. The truck itself hummed quietly through empty streets, engine idling low so it wouldn't wake sleeping families too early. Streetlights still glowed above him as he made his first stop, stepping out into the cool morning air with a wire basket full of bottles balanced against his hip. He knew every house on his route. Not just the address, but the family inside. He knew which house needed 2 quarts and which needed 4. He knew the Andersons preferred buttermilk on Thursdays. He knew the Millers had a new baby and needed extra milk that spring. This wasn't a delivery list memorized from paper. It lived in his memory, built one morning at a time. He walked quietly up each porch, careful not to let the bottles clink too loudly against each other. Empty bottles from the day before sat waiting, rinsed and ready to be exchanged for full ones. It was a simple, honest transaction repeated hundreds of times each morning, house after house, street after street. Sometimes a note would be tucked into an empty bottle. A request for extra cream for a Sunday dessert. A thank you scribbled in a child's handwriting. Occasionally, a few coins left for a job well done. The milkman read every note like it mattered, because to him, it did. Children sometimes woke early just to catch him. They'd peek through curtains, watching his truck roll slowly down the street, waiting for the familiar sound of bottles clinking on the porch. For many kids, the milkman was a quiet, reliable presence, someone they trusted before they even understood what trust meant. In winter, the job grew harder. Ice formed on porch steps. Bottles occasionally froze solid overnight, cream pushing up through the cardboard cap in a strange little tower. He'd laugh softly at that sometimes, shaking his head as he replaced a frozen bottle without complaint. The cold never stopped the deliveries. Families depended on him, snow or not. In summer, the mornings were gentler, but the heat came fast. He'd move quickly, trying to get milk into iceboxes before the sun climbed too high. Sweat soaked through his uniform by mid-morning, but the schedule never changed. Families expected their milk at the same time, every single day, no matter the weather. He wasn't just delivering milk. He was part of the rhythm of the neighborhood. He noticed things other people missed. If bottles sat untouched for 2 days at an elderly widow's home, he'd knock gently on her door just to check. If a family suddenly stopped ordering, he'd ask around quietly, making sure everything was all right. Neighbors trusted him with spare keys. They trusted him to notice if something felt wrong. In many small towns, the milkman was one of the few people who visited every single home, which made him one of the few people who truly knew the pulse of an entire street. By mid-morning, his truck grew lighter as his crates emptied. He'd return to the dairy, restock for the next day, and prepare the same route to repeat again tomorrow. The job never really ended. It simply paused until the next dark morning arrived. Then, slowly, the world began to change. Refrigerators became larger and more affordable, letting families store more milk at once. Supermarkets expanded, offering milk alongside everything else under one roof. Convenience began to matter more than routine, and the need for daily delivery quietly faded away. One by one, milk routes shortened. Deliveries became weekly instead of daily. Eventually, in many towns, they stopped altogether. The familiar sound of glass bottles clinking on porches became rarer, then unfamiliar, then almost forgotten. Today, most people buy milk from a shelf without ever meeting the person responsible for getting it there. Convenient, yes. But something quieter was lost in that convenience. The milkman wasn't just delivering a product. He was maintaining a connection, one porch at a time, one family at a time, every single morning before most people even woke up. If you're old enough to remember the sound of glass bottles on a porch step, you remember more than milk. You remember a level of trust that doesn't need cameras or apps to exist. You remember a man who showed up every day, rain or shine, simply because families depended on him. The milkman may be gone from most streets today, but he represents something worth remembering. A quiet, steady presence. A reliability built entirely on showing up, day after day, for people who trusted him without needing a reason why.